Program is leasing and transaction activity in Kentucky from West Cate. Give folks a second to. Let's see if we. Wes Cate is the Executive Vice President for Global Natural Resources Management Company and is responsible for the oversight of the company's oil and gas activities. Wes has coordinated successful leasing programs across the Appalachian and Illinois Basin, administered several drilling programs in those states, and developed maps of leases and pipelines for several multi-state and multinational corporations. Wes received his BA in Finance from Eastern Kentucky University. He also recently received the Certified Professional Landman status from AAPL. Wes is a COGA board member. I've had a chance to get to know Wes very well over the last 3 years, one of the more promising young men in this industry, and certainly somebody that I think that has a very long and strong future within this organization and just about anything that the guy does. So with that, turn it over to my friend Wes Cate.
Thanks, sir. Let's see if I can. Is this on? All right, good deal. Well, first off, let me thank Andrew and Astrid for putting this on. You've done a great job. We appreciate it. Secondly, you've probably seen me hobbling around. Jason Bentley and I have an alumni game, I think 2 weeks, and he's pretty excited. I'm a little bit crippled right now. The young guys beat the old men last year pretty bad, so he's excited about it. I wanted to specify my talk today on the leasing activity in the Rogersville and the Berea. I think Brandon teed it up beautifully for me. I will not have nice, colorful slides like he does. I'm not a geologist. I like to stick to numbers. I like to stick to your competition and your CapEx. So that's really going to be my focus today. So I really want to go over 3 counties. We're going to look at Magoffin, Lawrence, and Johnson County. That's kind of my primary focus for this presentation. Who your competitors are, who's done the leasing, how many leases have been recorded in the courthouse. I'm not going to speculate. We're going to stick to what the county clerk has recorded in the courthouse over the last 18 months. I'm going to start in January 2014 and go till June of this year. I will say compiling this data was somewhat difficult. You can't go to the county clerk and export an Excel file. They're going to give you a PDF and you're going to hand enter it. So thanks to my office staff, which is not here, but they were amazing over the last 72 hours helping us. Again, the 3 counties we're focusing on, as Brandon teed this up, this is your Rogersville and your Shell play, or your Berea play. Started out in Lawrence County really 2010. Cimarex came in 2012, kicked off the Rogersville. My data will again focus from 2014 to 2015. So I'm going to step out so I can actually see this. I like to walk around. Gulfland and Cimarex, this is in Magoffin County, and I'm not going to lie, this was staggering for me to look at this. There's over 2,000 leases that have been recorded since January of 2014 till now, 2,000. So keep that number in mind as we walk our way through. So you've got Gulfland Cimarex with a combined of 791 leases recorded in Magoffin County. G3 Royalty, 350, EQT with 130. So keep these numbers in mind. I mean, that's a lot of leasing, guys. I'm raised by a geologist. We like pictures. So I wanted to put a graph together just to visually show you this. In March of 15, in Magoffin County, we have 432 leases recorded. That's a staggering number. When you look at April of 14, there's 25 leases. A big jump. I mean, it's easy to see that incline. So keep these, well, I went too far. Keep this right here, this August, September, October, November, keep that in the back of your mind as we progress through this. I went to Johnson County. So in Magoffin, when we're looking at this, current leasing costs now are about $150 to $300 per acre. You're going to be looking at 5-year term leases plus a renewal. Your renewal is most likely going to be equal to your primary term bonus that you're paying. The leases that I've been privy to are going to be 1/8 to 3/16 leases. As of recently, the landowners are getting a lot more comfortable with us, and so you're going to be paying 14, 16, even a 3/16 lease. So be prepared when if you're looking at that area, they're a lot more knowledgeable. And you're going to start seeing pew clauses come in, potentially landowners coalitions. That's something that we see in discussions quite often now. But to give you some historical background, we paid $5 to $10 an acre a year ago. So this is massive jumps in our pricing and your CapEx budgets. You could easily take a 1 to 3 year term. 5-year terms were tougher to get down there, but now that's the normal. On your historical leases, you weren't going to get a renewal clause. That just didn't happen. All of them were 1/8 leases. So this is the jump that we're seeing on your royalty rates from a 1/8 to 14, 15, 3/16 leases. Some of the issues you're going to face in McGoffin County. If you haven't worked there, title is very difficult. Very, very difficult. We as landmen cringe when we go in that courthouse. There's many, many old severances that if you're not comfortable and if you're not privy to that information, you need to get that way. I mean, I can tell you I have clients that have minerals that their great-great-grandfather got in 1865, several thousand acres. And if you're not going back that far, you won't find it. So it's important when you're in McGoffin County, do your title, do your research, and then look at your old historical production. The record keeping there is kind of tough, so do a site visit and go out on the ground. Make sure there's not a pump jack out there, because a lot of times there might be. There might be a little one sitting there that you don't know about. Next up, I wanted to touch on Johnson County. Again, Johnson County, this is the Berea and the Rogersville play. In 2014, your leading company was Abarta with 173 leases. Next up is Gulfland with 163. Now, I've highlighted Gulf because in 2015, we go from 163 down to 41 leases recorded this year. So that's looking like there's a decent drop-off in Johnson County. Terra Nova was third in 2014 with 115, followed by EQT. Now, you're going to see EQT jump up in 2015 already. We're 6 months in. They've got 157 leases recorded 6 months in. Abarta is following quickly behind with 91. So I think in Johnson County this year, there's going to be a lot more activity given the wells that have been drilled down there. I think that number is only going to continue to rise. Again, looking at Johnson County, total leases per month. Keep this October number in mind. The biggest month is 124. Go back to McGoffin County where we're over 400 leases. 124 leases. Look at January of 14. 26. So we're having a big rise in activity over this period. It's massive. 1,020 leases recorded over this period, over this 18 months. Again, let's just kind of go over current leasing costs versus historical. So your current leasing costs, you're going to pay $250 to $300 per acre for a 5-year lease. Your renewal is most likely going to be equal to your bonus. I've seen some where they've got a kicker on it. Royalty rates, I have 1/8 to 3/16. Most likely, you're probably going to be 14% to 3/16. If you get a 1/8 lease, pat yourself on the back. That's a great lease. Historical leasing costs in this area have been $25 to $50 per acre. Again, $5 to $10 per acre a year is what I leased for many, many years. 3 to 5 year terms were about our standard leasing with no renewal, and they were 1/8 leases. We wouldn't go over that. Some of the issues you're going to face in Johnson County are large mineral severances. John C.C. Mayo, if you're a landman, you know all about him, is all over Johnson County, and it will haunt you if you're not careful. One of the issues that I wanted to look at, though, is when you look back at this number, you start to see this drop-off. Is that commodity-based in 2015? Is that commodity-based, or is that a saturation-based issue? And I think in Lawrence and Johnson, that's one of the questions we have to ask ourselves. Is the market so saturated? Is it so heavily leased that there's nothing available? Is that why we're seeing those decreases, or is it commodity-based? And one of the things I didn't get to point out earlier on the McGoffin County slide, I just wanted to make some general assumptions. Let's put this in a monetary standpoint. So if we've got 1,020 leases, and this is a big assumption, but let's say they're 50 acres a pop. That's a $15 million lease bonus that is going directly into the landowner's hands, directly into their hands. So when we're talking in the legislature, the candidates point that out. I'll go back to Magoffin County real quick. That's $30 million. $30 million in the last 18 months that have gone in to Magoffin County. So next up, my one true love that I've spent entirely too much time in, and that's Lawrence County. In 2014, Gulf Land recorded 336 leases. Nidus at 130, and I have Nidus pointed out here in blue because in 2015 they've only got 10. So you go from 130 down to 10. Again, is this saturation? Is this commodity-based? What's the driver here? Echelon Energy followed up Nidus with 35, Hay with 33, and Abarta at 26. We move into 2015, and this is one of the interesting things. Gulf Land is still leading with 106, but all of a sudden we have Chesapeake pop in here. Chesapeake's nowhere to be found on this side. So what's the driving force with Chesapeake? 105 leases. Echelon Energy, again, is up here with 18, Nidus at 10, Lawrence County Gas at 8. A total of 717 leases in 2014. We've got 283 this year in 2015. I suspect you're going to have a similar year to 2014. I don't think it's going to be much off. You might be 50 or 60 leases shy. But if this is projected the same way, it'll have a similar leasing atmosphere as 2014. So let's look at your total leases per month. June of 14 was your largest month. Not far off was, again, this October of 14. 101 leases versus 133. So Lawrence County stays fairly consistent during that time period into 2014. Drops off a little bit at the beginning of 15 and pops back up in June. Somebody recorded a lot of leases in June of 15. So we've got a total of 1,130 leases recorded over that 18-month period. If you want to talk about leasing in Lawrence County, if you can find a lease right now, you're going to pay every bit of $250 to $350 an acre, if not more. It's gotten extremely competitive. Most likely you're going to have deep versus shallow leases. If you can get a 5-year term, they're tough. A lot of the landowners are wanting shorter terms. They're going to have pew clause, development clauses. The landowners are very savvy now. And they don't necessarily correspond their lease bonus to commodity pricing. They still have very high numbers in their minds. Your renewal in Lawrence County is most likely going to be equal to your primary term plus a kicker. A lot of the leases that I looked at over the last couple of weeks all had language in there that it was going to be a primary term plus, an extra $50 to $60 an acre on the bonus. The leases I looked at, I only saw a few that were 1/8. The majority of them were 14%, 16%, 3/16 leases. So your royalty rates are going up. Historic leasing costs is, again, $5 to $10 an acre per year. We were leasing at 3 to 5 year terms with no renewals and 1/8 leases. So again, your pricing's going up, your term is getting more difficult, royalty rates are going up. Some of the issues, again, in Lawrence County, like Johnson, is the market saturated. There's been a lot of activity over the last 3 to 4 years. Pricing has reached all-time high. Does your commodity pricing warrant these high lease bonuses? And again, just to make some assumptions, if we've got 1,130 leases at 50 acres, it's a $20 million investment straight into landowners' hands just for lease bonuses over the last 18 months in Lawrence County. I kind of wanted to give you a graphical representation here of all 3 counties. So in the red, I've highlighted the peak years. So again, we've got October as kind of the peak. I've highlighted the total number of leases on each graph for October. The red is a peak year. But again, the staggering thing for me when I started looking through all of this is Magoffin County. Okay, we're doing 100 leases per month in Johnson and Lawrence, but Magoffin County, they do that every month. You're up to several hundred leases. To do 432 leases in a single month in Magoffin County is staggering, absolutely staggering. So I kind of wanted to go through, break down, and summarize all 3 counties combined. Gulf Land Appalachia in all 3 counties has recorded 1,073 leases. Xterra 466, EQT 400, Cimarex 378. Let's combine Cimarex and Gulf Land. That gives them 1,451 leases recorded in the last 18 months in those 3 counties, in the prime of the Rogersville and the Berea play. G3 Royalty follows up with 350, but I want to point out that they are only in Magoffin County. They're not in Lawrence or Johnson County. Barter right behind them with 329, Terra Nova with 167, and Nidus with 140. That's a total of 3,863 leases. There are more than that, but I wasn't going to filter in the 1 and 2 leases. These are just kind of everything above 20 leases recorded in the 3 counties. But that's a lot of leasing activity, guys. So on a go-forward basis, I kind of want to just do some transactional highlights, not going to speculate. This is recorded documents in the courthouse. In 2015, Vinland just purchased the Hayden Harper Energy assets. 2014, like everybody in these counties, everyone was selling their deep rights. Nidus, Troublesome Creek, App Energy, Hay Exploration, everyone sold off their deep rights. So in 2014, those were some of the larger transactions that took place in Lawrence, Johnson counties for your deep rights. The Vinland Energy assets that were purchased are west of here, but I just wanted to point that out because that is a very large transaction for Eastern Kentucky. So that's a nutshell overview of your leasing activity transactions in Eastern Kentucky. If you guys have any questions, I'd be glad to open it up.
Any questions for Wes?
You're taking it easy on the handicap guy. Come on now.
Yeah, Bill Barr.
Wes, are you seeing actual leases recorded or memorandums of leases?
That's a great question, Bill. Initially, a lot of it was leases, but when you go back through, a lot of it's memorandums now and subleases, so the data is difficult to get. I was privy to some of the leases from landowners that I know, and that's how I was able to kind of go back and look at royalty rates and development clauses. Everything really, when I looked in Magoffin County in 2015, is mainly memorandums and subleases. Anything else?
Any other questions out there? All right, thanks, Wes.
Yep, thank you.